Well, hello everyone. So, earlier today, hey, I watched Star Trek Section 31, the first Trek we've had in over 8 years, almost 9, and one that represents a few firsts of the franchise. I mean, the first to be made specifically as a DTV film rather than theatrical release. It's the first to pull from one of the timelines that Discovery hinted at, and there's a lot of timelines. It is the first to, my knowledge, have a female lead at its center, and even with all that in mind, it's certainly an interesting film. I mean, I did see some of the critiques coming in last night, right? And I want to make clear that it's not as bad as some of those takes make it out to be, but even I am still boggling where to place this in the overall canon, which of the last few decades and over 10 feature films has high highs, its low lows, and its middling middles. So let's begin. The film focuses on Felipe Georgiou, who, in the timeline where she was once emperor before or becoming a key part of Section 31, which is organization within Starfleet, which has a long history in the franchise, and has to form a reluctant alliance with an eclectic group of individuals in order to stop an experimental bioweapon known as the Godsend being unleashed upon on billions of people all in the known territories. And based on that description, it's definitely a one of the more wild attempts for the film, even and as both the show it's spun off from, and again, previous movies have had their ups and downs. Again, even when you're working with material or individuals that are as you have at your disposal in time, you can still find surprises. I mean, I did not know what to expect from Godzilla Minus One, and I really like Godzilla Minus One. I certainly did not know what to expect from Maxine, and that ended up being my favorite film of last year, here on a personal level. So there's that. And I still submit that even though it's not my favorite Trek movie by any measure, I can definitely say that I've honestly seen worse ways to kill 95 minutes. That's in my lifetime. And it's definitely not that I'm saying that it's a great film, but it's certainly did not hate it the way some other people did. I mean, and before I get into what's keeping me from outright praising it, I thought I would go over the positives real quick. First, I will say that the casting is definitely quite solid. I mean, I especially am enjoying Michelle Yeoh, who reprised her role as Georgiou, and as running like a morally ambiguous as head of a space station where a lot of dealings go down, that she is definitely enjoying herself. I mean, she's not the first award winner to go for something a bit more out there for her next role, and knowing this business, she will not be the last either. I mean, there. I mean, it's also a pretty visually stunning film, even and considering that it's just a DTV production, and which was originally going to be an entire show before it was retooled into a single feature-length movie. And all things considered, it's definitely makes some good use of the practical effects and digital work. I mean, the station itself, I really like how it's all blue and gold going on there. Here, that's on just the whole concept of CDD lanes beneath all like the glamour and glitz. And even like a lot of new characters introduce, who's it definitely makes sure to give them unique personalities and roles. I mean, you have one individual in a mech suit, which mean you have a in one called a nanokin who can place themselves into different bodies. Basically imagine a less heroic figure of the those aliens in the first Men in Black, which piloted human and bodies like mech suits, and not too far off the mark there, if I be honest. That's not to say that there aren't issues with the film. I mean, I may not be as harsh on it as other people are, but at least understand where they're coming from. Where you have on one hand it being a spy caper of sorts, but you also have elements of a heist film, given how they're trying to plot together to steal the bioweapon before it can be set off in the largest possible population density, and with Georgiou's whose companion in Sen, and some hints of young adult science fiction drama? Question mark. I mean, and I'm still one of those people that will give the mathematician's answer to what the franchise in this current day and age. That being a multimedia franchise first appearing in 1966, next on television. I certainly I'm looking forward to see what they got in store with the 60th anniversary next year. And all things considered, the plot is definitely a what is keeping me from praising this a lot more. I mean, it's definitely not hard to see that this was initially a proposed TV series before they took the work they had done and retooled it into a movie. I mean, a lot of people bag on Moana 2 for that. This movie puts that one to shame and how it can handle that. I mean, at least that film had the time and the resources to retool what they had into a feature. I mean, something tells me that between like the Skydance merger and other reshuffling of their slate at Paramount, it didn't quite get all the time it needed to really work out their kinks. And given how EA was one of several producers and executive producers associated with this, there are also at least 3 screenwriters. It's definitely one of the few films that I'm going to be planning to talk about this year where, like that raw video, there are too many cooks in the proverbial kitchen. I've seen worse examples of this, say, like the Borderlands movie. I am definitely not looking forward to talking about that, I'm going to be totally honest. Admittedly, there are concepts I do like in the film, where how it uses the Terran Empire, given how fitting that the woman who was in everywhere who's in everything, everywhere, all at once, go from one multiversal story to another. Especially a franchise that did it before was trendy, as pointed out before. And also like a lot of the ship designs as well, especially how this functional but very old trash freighter, which they used to give chase to the real the people who stole the godsend, is definitely a stand on how by contrast how sleek their ship is, which looks like almost like a Tesla mashed together with like a Romulan warbird, that kind of thing. And I definitely also was a bit of dark humor during the climax of the film, where they have to dump their garbage, and in the midst of all the refuse, they find a toy, which was from an alien race, and wouldn't you know it, or its power supply is explosive, which is fitting given how their speed's advantage is like the enemy ship has lots of phaser banks and torpedoes. They just have very basic shields and a tractor beam, which is only designed for collecting space junk, not spacecraft. And I also have no formal opinion on the Jamie Lee Curtis cameo either, since, again, and it's not really as gonna be as much juicy stuff to cut into as there is with her role as, say, Tannis in the Borderlands movie. And here's the real way to help sum this up, Like, even the less well received movies in the franchise still have some value to them. I still have a soft spot for the fifth one, just seeing like that time period's excesses and Bill's ego going crazy and screaming out for 45 minutes, and that's insurrection, how the Gilbert and Sullivan and sing along when Picard and Worf are trying to talk Data down, and even I point out that Nemesis, this was an early indicator of how Tom Hardy was really going places with his range, and even though a lot of people, even Paramount Plus, don't want to acknowledge his existence, it actually was a precursor to a lot of ideas that would become prominent in the subsequent films and television series. So I don't think this is like a god awful film. It's just kind of average. Which means it definitely plays like a slightly longer episode of a TV show that CBS has passed on in many respects, and whatever they got planned next, even though both Lower Decks and Prodigy are over / ending, though the creators were especially interested in doing more should opportunity arise. And they're taking a sweet time with the next theatrical movie, especially with Noah Hawley being occupied with the upcoming Alien Earth event on FX. I definitely am eager to see where this franchise building goes next. I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it again, but for now, Section 31 definitely is neither a white-hot, disastrous starship fire nor is it the next great installment in the franchise either. So, I mean, I could have picked any movie I wanted to talk about this weekend, and especially all the ones coming out theatrically at home. But I decided to get this one out of the way first. I mean, and so tomorrow, however, I will see you with my look at the Craig at the Creek series finale. See you tomorrow at the Creek.